Today is August the 3rd. We are in the Five Bogs and we are heading to an area where a couple years back the family unit had resettled, at least briefly. Gonna go look in there, see if there's any signs of life, and apparently be a little bit more bear aware. Talk to a couple of fellow outdoors folk here, and apparently they had a morning bear visitor this morning, so good day to have your bear mace on you should you need it. Never have before, but you never know. And we will take things from there. That's the plan. Come on along. Let's see what we find. Alrighty? Thanks. If you can hear the sound of the rain, as I drove into the forest this morning, the weather application on my phone said it was going to be bright and sunny. As you can see, that's a load of BS. So today is going to be one of those days we do what we can with what we got, etc., and yeah. So we're on our way. We are going to execute half of as much of our plan as we can, considering we're going to get soaked anyway. We're already far enough out if we went back to the car. We're soaked one way or the other, so long as the camera holds out and plays nice and we get to where we're going and check for tracks where we found them before, we'll see what the day brings and grumble about the weather a little bit here and there, but c'est la vie. Testing out new boots today that are a lot more waterproof than their warmer weather cousins, and so far living up to the hype, so at least there's that. I'm not walking through with sopping wet feet. Not yet anyway. The other ones were rated water resistant. These are rated waterproof. And so far, and based on the Gore-Texy shit they're made out of, so far walking through wet, dewy, rain-filled, grass-related whatnot, they're holding up. So there's that. You get a gear review out of this today anyway. So could have brought my poncho. It's back of the car. And again, go back to get it. I lose time. I get wet anyway. So it shall be a day of dampness, and I'll get over it. That will be the end of segment 1. I'm going to save the camera until we get there for field reporting, sharing, whatnot. Just wanted to whine about the weather. Not the first time this year this has happened, but the alternative is the sun comes out and the humidity ratchets up too, which probably will happen later. But in the meantime, I'm already wet, so that'll make the point moot either way. You have a point of moisture either way. So we're going to do that, and we'll be on our way. We'll be back in a bit. We're actually under enough cover we can try to get some filming in at the South Bog as we make our way to the water line. Getting soaked from the morning dew, yet being protected a little bit by the downcoming rain, which has proven the morning weather app to be a complete bullshit artist. So it is what it is. A little of this and a little not of that. So c'est la vie. And so here we have this track for comparison right next to bear shit. So some would like to say Bigfoot, I say bear track. As I said before in the first segment, the folks that were camping out that I walked by had let me know they had had a visitor in the morning, leaving a paw print as he was checking out what they had to potentially offer him for breakfast options. But I guess he didn't like what they had, because apparently, according to the lady of the tent, he had gone on and decided it wasn't really his taste and kept going. So I am of the impression I'm just going to get fucking wet today, and it's just not going to be the day that they had claimed or that I had expected. So it's also fair to say that my stuff is already as wet as I am, and therefore it will behave as well as it wants to, and we'll just go from there. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. So again, I'm testing out new boots today. They are these. As you can see up close, they are made out of some Gore-Tex-y looking stuff. And whereas their predecessors were rated, they're still out there, but they're not waterproof. They were rated water resistant. These are rated waterproof, and so far they are holding up to that. Because my feet are actually fairly dry despite the... Because if I was wearing the other ones right now, my feet would be soaked. And you might as well walk barefoot through the freaking wetness, because that's what they would be, that wet anyway. So, apparently there's a new local festival coming out next year from the Cobble Mountain Critter Festival. And I normally am skeptical of these things, but in defense of the two guys throwing it, I actually know them, and they are wildlife survival trainers, and they actually do have some outdoorsy cred to speak of. So while they do enjoy the folklore side of New England, as many of us do, they actually do have some cred, more so than some others that are in the field, or claim to be in the field. Mark a bell. I didn't, or, well, any, you want local, Chris Noel, even rhymes, sort of. Anyway, we stopped in here to maybe gauge out on the water line and see how much the weather is behaving or not. The trouble is, once the sun does come out, if it does, the humidity is going to be through the roof. So it's not raining hard, but with the tree drippage and all that, it's kind of hard to tell when you're under the tree cover, and that's most of today. My shirt's already clinging to me because it's soaking wet, so it's a moot point. I'm going to be wet today, so you just kind of have to suck that up. It's like one of those trips where the bugs are out in forest, and it gets to be a point where you get bug bit, to the point where it's just, this is your normal till you go home. And you take a 2-day bath in calamine lotion or whatever and just deal with it. So that's going to be this video is probably going to be limited to short bursts of me stopping off to get shelter in the rain, because the camera tends to want to turn on and off randomly when it gets wet past a point. Right now it's under enough shelter. I thought I just heard something. But with all the goddamn rain dropping in the background, it's kind of hard to gather that. It sounded like metal, though. Anyway, we're going to drop off and head to our final destination, look for some tracks in that area. This area is not exactly ideal. I mean, I found a bear track on the way in, fairly well defined, right next to his plop pile, but that's not the norm. And where's the other? Okay, I didn't step in it. Oh, there it is. There's your other pile. So you got to kind of watch where you step in here too, because they don't really do that for you. So we're gonna grab some photos of this lovely scenery and then be on our way again. And I'm actually surprised that I got boots online. That for the most part, they fit perfectly. Got the right size. They are comfortable. Some things you get the first time, and even though it's the size you think you have, especially if they come from China, the difference is, no offense to our neighbors in the East, but they have a different sizing mechanism, I think, than the West does, and what their size is doesn't always match up perfectly. So you kind of take your chances, but this time around it lucked out, and these are actually pretty sweet so far. Gonna take some pictures. We're gonna say we'll catch you in a little bit, and we'll be back. I'm actually back, and as I head out, I'm being a little bit more vigilant because that one is fresh. So it is fair to say, though I don't hear him at the moment, I'm not alone in here. Our buddy that left the track up here is right in here with me. I'm not going to stay on camera more so I can have... I'm just going to get back to where the main trail is so I can at least have a better line of visibility so I don't have any surprises. Just thought I'd make a point. I saw that. I almost stepped in. Like, that one is like very fresh. So we have our buddy in here. we're not alone in here. So always good to be aware of your surroundings, even deep in the woods. But I'm going to bid you adieu till the next segment, and I am going to be more mindful on maybe running into him, because he is definitely, I may be coming up behind him. That is my suspicion, but that would place him right in over there somewhere. I don't see him, but I did hear something, so I'm going to, if he is over there, I'm going to give him some space. We'll be back in a bit. Okay, we're back, and we're approaching our final destination. The rain is on hiatus. It just seems like one of those days it's not going to totally give up. So what I was talking about before is I had come across a new section of bear poo that couldn't have been more than half an hour old. I thought I heard something to the right, so that would probably be the culprit of the deposit. And I didn't see him, but I wanted to focus on that so I didn't have any face-to-face encounters without being prepared to navigate the situation one way or another. I've never encountered an aggressive bear in the undergrowth before, but there's a first time for everything, so best to be alert to things. So one of two things where the weather is going to happen now. It's either going to rain again at some point, or else it is going to become muggy and muggy and more muggy, and I'll be wet for different reasons, but I'm already wet from the rain, so that point is kind of moot. I'm just trying to remember the best path, since some of this is just like muddier than muddy can be, and I don't want to sink up to my ankles if I can avoid it. But I'm trying to get over there, and I'm kind of coming at a diagonal that may or may not cooperate with that notion. They're new boots. They don't have to come back brown from mud the first time. But so far that has they're proven to be troopers, though, which is good. Because Lord knows they've walked through enough morning dew today to soak them nicely, and they're living up to their rating. So let's have a look for tracks and then decide if I'm going to go deeper in or not. Given the fact that it is probably going to ratchet up. The sun's coming out now, so the mug may very well pick up to vastly uncomfortable levels. But at least it's not slated to be like 95 back like it is in Connecticut. It's not like that could have had any bearing on my decision to come up here instead. It's like in the low 70s up here, so while it's still warm, it's not overbearingly nasty. Whereas back home, you know, it's a rainy day though when the forest is alive with these little newts. If you see the guy down there, I would have taken a picture of one, but I've seen so many of them they've become kind of trite. If you don't mind a little forest floor cynicism. So we get out, and yeah, that's a lot of that. So first things first, let's do our track check. Kind of find our way to level ground. Kind of came out in a weird area near all this undergrowthy, concealing deadwood things. And pretty flowers of the mountains. But normally I try to avoid the wet foot thing, but it's like already one of two things again would have happened. I mean, these are proving to be waterproof as advertised and such, as you hear that. The other ones would have been soaked by now. It would have been a moot point. My feet would have been soggy little wrinkled white bits of trench foot in the forming. These are doing good. Not that the other ones aren't good. They're comfortable as hell and they fit well. They're not waterproof. They don't live up to that hype. These so far are doing that, but they're made out of different stuff too. The other ones are more like knockoff army boots, which you would think would be more water resistant, but either that or the Army's got a few different models too. You'd think they would think of such things for our, for their nation's defenders. You don't want them getting trench foot and having their feet fucking fall off. That would suck. So, anyway, let's mosey over to a known muddy spot where we found tracks before and do a quick check before I decide if I'm going to try to go basically overland from there up into there and make our way down to another pond. That's not the lightest of endeavors, but let's see where we end up mentally with that. First and foremost, it's like a yearly checkup kind of thing where we come in here to look for tracks in the area where they've turned up in the past. A little overgrown, so I don't know if this is like this time of year, just conditions have changed, but we'll find out. Whew. Now the mug's not thoroughly here yet. It's more just like everything soaking wet from the rain. So, fodder from the community. I told you about the new festival coming up. That's not really fodder. The group their leader is looking to have his 4 FLIR cameras that he loaned out on loan returned to him. And this is where I would offer some advice. You were probably too trusting in pursuit of popularity. And now it's going to bite you in the ass when you learn the darker side of human nature. People don't always return shit that they borrow. Unfortunately, there are those that have more integrity than others. And that is why normally I don't loan shit out like that, because either I give it to someone because I don't expect to see it back. This is all overgrown this year. This may be a wasted effort. Or I'm sorry, that's mine and I don't trust you with it. You can borrow it for the day, but by the time I get back to the car, it's leaving with me. And maybe I'm a little more cynical than this person, but I suspect you're about to find out why, unfortunately. I don't take any pleasure in that. I just, more the matter of a de facto, I told you so. So, nothing personal, big fella, but I think you may have goofed on that one. Yeah, this is all overgrown. I think I'm hosed this year. Because normally this would be all like muddy flats and all that. It grew over. So, conditions change over time, though. There was a time, I'm going to say 3-4 years ago, though, when you had evidence of mommy and daddy having had baby in here. Suddenly there was a third set of prints and they were like toddler sized, leading me to suspect you had a family unit of 3 now, not just a mated pair. So what I'm going to try to do, as it is rainy, I don't know how passable the get out of here conditions are, but I'm going to try to get over to that corner. This is actually all beaver dam and precarious. And you got to jump a stream there, or I can jump a stream over there. The one over there is not as wide, so I'm going to try that. And I'm either going to make entry or I'm not. We'll see what happens. So, college try, and we'll take it from there. But in order to focus on doing that, I am going to take a quick segment break, allowing for some photography, and then we'll be back.